What do we really care about when the Fed comes out on Wednesday?
The rhetoric is what we're going to care about, and what they say maybe about the economic outlook. Remember, in January, they did not. They had an economic forecast and then said that they wouldn't be putting one out for a while because there's no point, because nobody knows how things are actually going to go. So what kind of information do they give us about where the economy is going, where they think the economy is going? We're not going to get any policy moves out of them since they've done so much already. Same story with the ECB on Thursday. Everybody's been out front on the central bank side. It's the fiscal side we're watching now. So don't expect too much from the Fed, but expect some interest in what Jay Powell has to say.
Michael Kushma, what are you watching for?
I think that's a pretty good summary so far. I do expect the Fed to provide some increased confidence about forward guidance. There are commitment to keeping rates low as necessary, indefinitely. It could be 1 year, 2 years, but they will do basically whatever it takes to accomplish their objectives. And I also agree that there's no point coming out of the economic forecast. It's very much a wild card in terms of what happens. Street consensus views are all over the map in terms of where things are going to be in Q2, Q3, and the range of outcomes is very, very wide still. So I think the Fed's going to stay away from coming out with any specific economic forecast, but a commitment to providing whatever is necessary to achieve better growth down the road and stability in financial markets.
I mean, and no doubt we're going to hear something very similar from Christine Lagarde on Thursday. And so, Michael Kushma, the question becomes how much more risk, credit risk, do central banks need to take on?
Well, Europe has been more aggressive than the U.S. The ECB has been buying corporate bonds for a long time now as part of their original QE program back in 2012, 2013. So that aspect, I think, is going to continue. And what we could see from them are more tweaks of their program, because they had specific dollar amounts for their various programs. Their PEP program, PEPP, had a specific 750 billion euro amount in it. That will run out by the end of this year. They may want to up that amount. There's other talks about the fiscal agents in Europe, the EU, providing more support for European economies. That will interact with monetary policy as well. I think Christine Lagarde will also talk about the need for the EU to step up with more fiscal policy, and the ECB is ready to support that commitment. But I think it's still about supporting the commitment to increased economic activity, supporting economies down the road, and they will increase programs as necessary to achieve those objectives. And alongside that, it was good news on Friday, as you mentioned, peripherals doing better, that Italy and Greece were not downgraded by the rating agencies.
Yeah, definitely. But Mike McKee, I wonder if at some point the ECB is just going to have to buy junk-rated corporate debt, or at least fallen angels, like the Fed has been willing to do.
Well, the expectation is they're going to say we're willing to. The question is, do they need to, and how much are they willing to do? Since those two countries were not downgraded into, well, Greece is already in junk, but not downgraded further. They don't have to do anything specifically different at the moment. The question is, what are they going to do once we know what the EU is going to do? If the EU is going to provide enough money quickly enough on the fiscal side, that may get the ECB off the hook. But if they don't, then you're going to see some pressure on them to buy more bonds. Now, if the EU puts together a lending program similar to the ESM, and Italy, for example, goes into it, then that could open the way for outright monetary transactions, more bond buying of Italian debt. But the question is, that's a question down the road, put it that way.